Human interaction with the environment over the generations has seen many consequences. Significant direct human health impacts can occur if the ecosystem services are no longer adequate to meet social needs. Indirectly, changes in the ecosystem services affect income, local migration, and on occasion may even cause political conflict. According to Howe and Strauss, historic events shape peer groups differently depending on the phase of life they occupy. Generations are shaped by interacting tides of life and time. Important historic events, social trends and climates, demographic shifts and parenting styles shape each generation's unique outlook. In the 1800s, people began to understand that unsanitary living conditions and water contamination contributed to disease epidemics. This new awareness prompted major cities to throw waste and garbage. In the mid-1850s, Chicago built the first major sewage system in the United States to treat wastewater. Soon many other United States cities followed Chicago's lead. The emergence of great factories and consumption of high quantities of coal and other fossil fuel, which were outputs of the Industrial Revolution, gave rise to a record air pollution. Conservation was the first nationwide political movement in America's history to grapple with environmental problems like waste, pollution, resource exhaustion, and sustainability. Is there something we can learn like Teddy Roosevelt from the greatest generation, from prior environmental mistakes, or from creative solutions to problems in the past? Could we look backwards in order to move forward? Could we have learned from the silent generation, the baby boomers, the Generation Xers, or the millennials? What can we do cross-generationally to inspire positive environmental change and jumpstart new initiatives? Who is leading the charge of our future? Many baby boomers who came of age in the 1960s and 70s were nurtured for civil rights and environmental movements. They have retained a great deal of their youthful idealism throughout their lives. The post-1945 era of baby boomers, 75 million strong, has been credited with initiating environmental movement. Having been sustainably influenced by events such as the Vietnam War, the oil embargo, and the 3 Mile Island nuclear meltdown. It was Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, that drew attention to the impact of harmful chemicals in the natural environment. It was published in 1962 and documented the detrimental effects of chemical industry and how unexamined pesticide use was harming and in some cases killing animals and humans. It is now credited for the help it had in launching the environmental movement. In spite of their legislative accomplishments, baby boomers have also been criticized for their thirst for stuff: big houses, big cars, exotic foods and travel, and relatively selfish consumption. For a while, with a country deep in resources, the baby boomers frolicked in the abundance of coal deposits, forests, and plentiful clean water without much thought of conservation. Now, a pullback is on more more thoughtful use of these resources. The smallest generation in the shadow of their boisterous parents' generation. This generation is more diverse and holds higher education than its previous generations. Protest was the order of the day, but saving the planet was not the cause. War raged in Vietnam, and students nationwide increasingly opposed it. The idea came to Earth Day founder Gaylord Nelson when the United States Senator of Wisconsin, after witnessing the ravages of the 1969 massive oil spill in Santa Barbara, California. He was inspired by the students' anti-war movement. He realized that if he could infuse that energy with an emerging public consciousness about air and water pollution, it would force environmental protection into the national political agenda. Earth Day of 1970 achieved a rare political alignment, enlisting support from the Republicans and Democrats, rich and poor, city slickers and farmers, tycoons and labor leaders. The first Earth Day led to the creation of the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the passage of the Clean Air, Clean Water, and Endangered Species Acts. Generation Y is the first generation to come of age in the 21st century. This generation is also known as the Millennial Generation. Creative and independent, they are beyond tech savvy. They are infused to their technology. As 1990 approached, the group of environmental leaders asked David Hales to organize a big campaign. This time, Earth Day went global, mobilizing 200 million people in 141 countries and lifting environmental issues onto the world stage. Earth Day 1990 gave a huge boost to recycling efforts worldwide and helped pave the way for 1992 United Nations Summit in Rio de Janeiro. It also prompted President Bill Clinton to award Senator Nelson the Presidential Award of Freedom, the highest honor given to a civilian in the United States for his role in the as Earth Day founder. While some refer to this group born after 1994 as Generation Z, a possible more appropriate name might manifest itself as these youngsters experience life. These are the true digital novice. They have never seen life without the internet. This era is still not without its share of environmental problems. Studies show that Brazil holds the record since 2005 of the largest area of forest to be removed annually. Since 1970, over 230,000 acres of the Amazon forest has been destroyed. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010 was one of the worst oil disasters in history. In the BP oil spill, more than 200 million gallons of crude oil was pumped into the Gulf of Mexico for a total of 87 days, making it the biggest oil spill in the U.S. history. 16,000 total miles of coastline had been affected, including the coast of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. The initial oil rig explosion killed 11 people and injured 17 others. Former Vice President Al Gore continues to advocate for change. The not-for-profit organization headed by Gore is running ads in targeted congressional districts and holding town hall meetings across the country for support of climate change legislation. The slideshow has been made famous in the movie An Inconvenient Truth has now been shared in more than 30,000 times and in countless parts worldwide. The fight for a clean environment continues in the climate of increasing urgency as the ravages of climate change become more manifested every day. You are invited to be a part of Earth Day and help write many more victories and success in our history. You could ensure that the choices you make at home and at work and on your menu does not contribute to the environmental health. Thank you for your attention. This research has been presented with the aid of the following research information below.